out of the game.
Hi, I'm Kelsa Dickey, the CEO of the Financial Coach Academy and my financial coaching business, Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. My coaching journey began more than a decade ago with me helping people for free from my dining room table. What was once a little business of mine has grown into a 7-figure company that employs a team of people. My goal is simple, to help you fall more and more in love with financial coaching. I believe financial coaching is the most rewarding way to make a living. If you are an aspiring financial coach or have been coaching for years, I'm here to help you create a business you love that gets your clients massive results. Let's get to it. Hey, financial coach, and welcome to episode 35 of the Financial Coach Academy podcast. As you can see or hear, I am not your usual coach, Kelsa Dickey. She is on a much-deserved break from the podcast this summer while she is enjoying her new lake house in Michigan. And I am going to be subbing for her for the next 2 episodes and have done the previous couple if you've been along for the ride. So if you don't know who I am yet, my name is Jill Emanuel. I'm the Director of Programming for both sides of our business, Fiscal Fitness Phoenix and the Financial Coach Academy, and I am here to be your host today. I can't wait to dive in. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about how to not be pushy or salesy and how those very thoughts are actually hurting you, your clients, and their ability to make a decision. So I can't wait to dive in. Sales and sales psychology is one of my favorite things to talk about. So we are going to have some good things to discuss today. But before we do that, I wanted to give a shout out to one of our listeners who left a review. She is, or he is, username EM21047. And this listener says, Kelsa and her content have been key to me first seeing that I wanted to become a money coach, launching my coaching and business, and now growing it to have been able to leave my full-time job and career from the last decade. I would not be doing this if it weren't for her. So thank you so much for the review, and for any of you listening or watching on YouTube. We really appreciate all of those reviews that you do leave us. So if you're loving the show, please take a minute, leave us a review, and we would love to give you a shout out in one of our upcoming episodes. All right, and the next thing, before we get started, I need to let you guys know that we have something very exciting coming in August, and that is open enrollment for the Financial Coach Mastermind. This is something you have not heard a lot about on this podcast because we only open enrollment once per year, and that time is quickly approaching. So I need to make sure that you know about this and do not miss your opportunity to enroll in the mastermind and get help with your business. I have said it before, I will say it again, the coaches who we see out of the thousands that are in the Facebook group that we pay attention to and connect with on a very regular basis, those that are up-leveling their business, they're gaining new clients, they're feeling more confident, they are being more decisive in their decisions, that their branding looks more cohesive, their marketing is more spot on. These are coaches that are in the mastermind, you guys. They are killing it. Our mastermind community is amazing, and you want to be a part of it if you are serious about building your financial coaching business. So make sure that you get on the wait list so that you're one of the first to know when we open up enrollment, because it's only for 1 week. It is August 17th to the 24th. You want to be on the wait list so that you see it right away when that enrollment opens up and you can grab one of your spots. You're going to want to head over to financialcoachacademy.com. You are going to look for community along the top and select the middle option that says join a paid coaching mastermind. Yes, it is paid, and you know what? When you pay, you play. You show up, you are invested, you get work done, you show up for yourself, and this is such a small investment, you guys. You are going to want to make this in yourself. Your business deserves it. You deserve it to make this dream a reality and really grow this business much more quickly, efficiently, easily, and with a huge team of support and community around you. So make sure you are on that wait list. All right. So without further ado, let's dive in. We're going to talk about sales, one of my favorite things. favorite topics. And I know it is one of the things that so many coaches hate more than anything. So buckle in. We're going to have so much fun. All right. We really do want to use this episode to talk about how to not be pushy or salesy, and how even just having that thought is hurting your clients and their ability to make a decision, right? So this is so important. So I want you to reflect. Does this sound familiar to you? Do these thoughts sound familiar? I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to put pressure on them. I'm just going to let them think about it, right? These are extremely common thoughts for entrepreneurs, not just financial coaches, but I see it with a lot of the clients that I work with too, that they are having. And I'm going to say this is especially common for newer coaches or newer entrepreneurs, those that have worked with less than 1,000 clients, or for sure those that have worked with less than 100, right? The conversation's still very awkward. You're still feeling it out. And as coaches, our natural instinct is to be helping. And if we don't have a positive sales background and we carry around a lot of judgments about what it means to be a salesperson or to have a sales conversation, we've got these preconceived ideas about who we are if we're doing it, and therefore we might avoid the conversation entirely, or we are just way too wishy-washy and we don't make it an easy opportunity for the client to make a decision about whether or not they want our help, right? So in this episode, I want to talk to you about why those thoughts are harming you, your business, and your clients. So let's talk about how to do sales without being salesy, right? And what the mindset is to approach this and how to embrace it. So when it comes time for the sales conversation, this is when we have a total change of personality, right? So just think about this. I'm curious if you identify with this. You're going through the coaching conversation and it is amazing. You are loving it. You're helping the client. You're solving problems. You're showing them how much better their financial life can be. You're getting to the end of this conversation and now it's time to talk about helping them more and them paying you for your services, which is, yes, that's a sales conversation. Suddenly your entire persona changes. You are awkward. You are like serious now. It's like time to put on your business hat. You're done being the helper. You're done being, empathetic and embracing the client where they're at and like helping them solve all their problems. It's like, now it's time to sell, right? And you like, it's funny because we can even just shift the way that we're holding our bodies and the way that we're sitting and the intonation of our voice and the way that we're communicating. And suddenly we're, fast talking and we're avoiding eye contact and we're not engaging in a conversation, but we're lecturing and over explaining. And it is awful. It is awful. It is awkward. And so this is definitely what can happen when you do not practice sales and when you maybe have some, like I said, preconceived notions, some judgments about what it means to be having a sales conversation or what it means to be a salesperson. You don't want to be icky. You've had bad experiences maybe with pushy salespeople and you don't want to be them. And so you've got sort of this energetic block around it that is really impacting how you're communicating in this conversation, and it's impacting the ability for the client to ultimately make a conversation and for you to clearly communicate how you can help them. So you guys, you are still the same person. And you should carry the same energy when you go into a sales conversation that you have had all along. And that energy is that you are helping and coaching the client through this part as well. Nothing changes. You are a coach, and that is our role, is to help and coach our clients to find the solutions that are best for them. Maybe our coaching is not the solution that is best for them in that moment, right? And that is part of the sales conversation. The sales conversation allows them to make a decision. Yes, this is what I want and what I need and what I am ready to take action on, or no, this is not what I want and what I need, and I'm not going to take action on it. And that is all that we are doing in the sales conversation, right? But oftentimes, coaches will get really hung up on how to make the transition right? So how to make that transition from coaching into the sales conversation. And that awkwardness is sort of what triggers this total personality shift, right? It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or something, where it's like helpful, kind, generous coach, and then pushy, awkward, weird, or like avoidant sales professional, right? So we don't want to have two different personalities while we're talking with our clients. We want to have one personality, which is just who we are, right? So let's start here with talking about some of the phrases that you can use as you are transitioning into a sales conversation that might feel a bit more natural, right? Because I think sometimes we try to shift abruptly, or we don't know how to change the conversation or let the client know we're headed in that direction. We can be like, if it's okay with you, I'd like to talk about sales right now, or how I can help you. And it feels weird, and suddenly we're in this whole different energy or dynamic with the conversation. And we don't want that, right? We want to maintain who we are and our energy that we've had all throughout the previous conversation that we just had. So some things that I typically will say, and it feels very natural, and it sort of eases the conversation into the next phase of working together, is to simply say at the end of coaching is to say, okay, well, where we typically go from here, right? Where we typically go from here, where we normally go from here, right? It's very easy, is that we want to talk about what it would look like to help you going forward, right? Or what usually happens from this point is that we can get started with coaching, and you start explaining how you would help them to continue to achieve their goals, right? So it's just like what we normally do or where we typically go. Or here are some of the things that I see that I can further help you with, right? Here are some of the things that I see that we would need to continue working on. Here are some of the things that I see that likely are going to take several months for us to really get in place. But once we do, we're going to have X result. So really, again, painting the picture. I talked in the last episode about how to talk about what you do as a financial coach. And some of those same principles appear here while you're going into the sales conversation. So again, all of those things are very normal and natural and like not awkward. You are simply helping and continuing to paint the picture for how your coaching is going to help them achieve the goals that they want without the proving energy, which is what we can easily slip into if we are not practicing this skill, right? So you might say something like, okay, what I'm seeing at this point is that we have solved X, right? They come to us and they have a whole bunch of different goals. And maybe the first thing is like, what we've solved today is that we've got your debt payoff plan. We know which debt you're tackling first. We've got some strategy around the way that you're going to organize, managing your money going forward. But the things that we haven't gotten to yet, right? Or the things that you told me that you still wanted to accomplish are. So you are going to, again, share back with them some of the things that you've talked about during your conversation. And I think that it is just being honest with people, saying, I know that you said what you really, really want is to, save $20,000 for buying your first house. And that is something that simply is going to take more than one coaching session, right? That could take several months. First, we need to get this plan in place before we can really aggressively start saving and knowing that you have the extra money in order to do that, right? So you just want to be explaining to them the same way that you were with everything else that you were helping them with during your coaching conversation, that there's a process to it. There's some complexity to it, that there's one step and then the next step and the next step, but you have to build the foundation before you can start tackling the next things. And that's what coaching with us over the long term really does, that you cannot change someone's entire financial life in one session. And I don't think that our clients actually expect that that is the case. Like, of course, they're hoping for some answers. They're hoping to be pointed in the right direction. They're hoping for maybe some clarity around one or two very specific questions that they've sort of been pondering or trying to figure out. But they know that one session is not going to change their entire life. Right? Like they're aware of that. Things don't change entirely in one time. You don't go to the gym one time and you're 30 pounds less and you're like on the cover of a magazine, right? So it's not just one time. The same is true with coaching. Don't feel weird about that. It's like we want to be honest with our clients and paint the picture of what is possible with some continuity, right? With actually helping them in the process. So you want to simply be honest. And so this next part that I have in my notes is really demonstrating that. And I just will tell people, it's not going to happen overnight. And sometimes it actually feels harder before it feels better. I talk about sometimes the analogy of like when you go to clean your closet and you have to pull everything out first, right? Like you pull it all out to get it organized and you look around and it is like a tornado came through. There is a disaster everywhere. It is way worse before it gets better. And the same thing is true with your money, is that once you start making those initial changes, it's like you're pulling it all out of the closet, right? We are mixing things up. It's getting a little bit messy, but it gets messy in order to get organized, in order to get better, in order to see it more clearly, in order to know where everything is, in order to know where you're headed. And that is what we do with coaching, is we help people through that process so that they don't like pull all the stuff out of their closet and never put it back, right? We don't want it to be worse. We don't want it to be more of a mess. We don't want them to have more questions or uncertainty. Our job as their coach is to help them make it easier. And if we feel super awkward and we don't want to be salesy or pushy and we avoid the sales conversation, we essentially just pulled everything out of the closet and said like, okay, never mind. You just think about it. Let me know if you want help putting that back together, right? Like we want to actually offer them help to do it as quickly and efficiently and easily as possible and in the right way for them, right? Like in the right way that gets them the results the most quickly. All right. So sometimes even when we feel like we are having a really natural sales conversation, the client still feels uncertain or unclear about what the next best step for them is. Because like I said, the sales conversation is simply having a conversation about, is this right or is this not right? And helping them decide yes or no. That is all we want to do. And we don't want to be attached to the answer, right? We just want to help them come to a decision, because coming to a decision is the greatest gift we can give them at the end of that conversation. So if the client is still feeling uncertain or unclear, what this simply means is that we have not answered all of their questions yet, or we have not made the client feel safe to share with us what they're actually thinking, right? So it's one of these two things. If they're feeling uncertain, it's either because they've got this question in the back of their head and they're like, oh, but what if blah, 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 right? What if this? What if that? Maybe they can't help me with this. Or what if I need to wait 3 weeks to get started? Or what if my schedule is busy? Or can I fit this in? Or they've got like all of these questions that are happening in their head and we just simply maybe haven't answered that question that is buzzing around in their head. Or we have had the session with them and they're like, I don't think this is what I need. I don't think that this is the thing for me. Maybe this isn't the person for me. But we have not created an environment where they feel safe to say, you know what, I really appreciate this help. I don't think that right now I want to move forward with anything, but I'm going to take this and move forward, implementing it on my own. They can tell us that. That's great. There's plenty of clients that tell us that. And some of them do an amazing job on their own. And if that's the case, I am so happy for them, right? So we don't want to be attached to their answer, but we want to create a safe place for them to be able to decide, right? Because deciding is really important, right? So the main goal, like I said, is helping the client to reach this decision of yes or no. And it can really be one of the hardest things to learn, right? It can really be one of the hardest things, especially as a newer coach, when all you want to do is have a client to work with. All you want to do is be able to help someone or to have someone pay you for the first time. And so you are sort of attached to the outcome. And I want you to try to not be. And I know that's asking a lot, but it is something to really take to heart, right? To think about it before you go into sales conversations. I remember when I was a brand new coach and, whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, and I would just say like, God, just give me the words to help this person that I'm about to talk to. Just give me the words, give me the right things to help them with whatever the problem is that they have. I just want to be able to help them and guide them in the best way possible. But I was trying really hard. I did not want to be attached to that outcome and putting that pressure on the conversation. It is not for me to decide. It is for them to decide and for me to answer any questions they have and create a safe space for them, right? So I really want you to think about that. So if you go into the sales conversation and your primary motivation is to get the sale or convert the client, you are going to carry that energy into the conversation, right? And that energy is what is going to make you feel salesy or pushy. And most likely, feeling salesy or pushy is the thing you most want not to feel like, right? So you see how this is really problematic because you really want the sale, and really wanting the sale is making you feel exactly the way that you don't want to feel. And so you can just imagine why you're feeling uncomfortable, right? Like why it feels awkward, why you're not liking this. And because you have this energy, here's a few of the things that are going to happen. You're going to overtalk or oversell. You're going to come on too strong or word vomit, or the exact opposite is going to happen. You are going to undersell. You're going to avoid. You're going to be way too lax, too nonchalant. You might not even offer coaching at all. You might be like, why don't you just try this out and let me know how it goes, right? Has any of you done that? I guarantee some of you have done that. I think I did that a few times early on. So no shame. I'm not throwing shade here. It is just something we do as we're learning this skill, right? And so if the client says that they need to think about it, what we really want to do is we want to try to find out, is there a question still that they need to be considering as they're thinking about it, so we can try to give them the answers they need to actually make a decision, right? And we don't want to leave them like in a place where we didn't answer their questions and now they can't make a decision. So what I'm essentially saying is like, we're not going to always 100% of the time get a yes or no immediately on the sales conversation. And I'm not of the sales school where it's like, you got to get the answer right there and you like push until you get it. Like some people need to sleep on things, especially if we're asking for hundreds or thousands of dollars for our coaching. Like I sleep on that. My husband and I do not make a decision of investing thousands of dollars without having slept on it and talked about it privately and like really evaluated if this is the thing that we want for ourselves. So I don't expect my clients to do it any other way. So sometimes, yes, they're going to want to take a day or a few days to think about it and get back to you. But you do want to find out if there are certain things that they still feel uncertain about or questions that they have that have not been answered, so that you can make sure that when they go home to talk about it or think about it, they are thinking about it with total clarity about what is involved, right? What are they getting? What is coaching going to do for them? How does it look? We don't want to leave them in a place of uncertainty where they say we need to go think about it, but they can't think about it because they don't actually have the answers and they feel like they're in just this big place of uncertainty, right? So you can possibly ask them questions to sort of help find out if there are additional things you need to answer for them or provide for them. So here's a few examples of questions, because I know this is always helpful for coaches that they say, well, what do you ask? I don't know what the words are. So let's talk about some of them. So you can say, what other things can I clarify for you so that you're going to have a really good talk about this and, you know, be able to decide whether or not this is right for you, right? What other things can I clarify for you? What questions or hesitations are you feeling that I can shed some light on so that while you're making this decision, you have all of the information that you need, right? We want to find out what else do they need. You might ask them, if coaching was free or price wasn't an object, what other questions might you still need answered to determine if the program was right for you, right? Because sometimes it's something entirely different that we haven't even gotten around to talking about. So we want to sort of like wave that part out of their mind. If it wasn't about the price, what other questions would you still have? So at least they know everything they need to know about what the program looks like. You also might want to ask them, how long are you going to need to talk about this and make a decision, right? How long will you need? When do you want to connect and sort of have made your decision by? What do you need to know in order to decide if it's the best thing for you or not? And how will you know if this is right, or what things will you be considering, right? So I want to make sure that you have all of the information that you need in order to make an informed decision. So again, all of this is just trying to be helpful, which is what we as coaches do so well, is we are helpful, but yet we want to avoid this. If we were talking to them about any other financial decision that they were about to make or an investment that they were going to consider, we would easily ask them all of these questions, but we don't want to do it about ourselves because we feel guilty asking people to pay us, or we don't want to be salesy or pushy, right? So if you didn't listen to episode 33, I talked about how If Kelsa hadn't offered me coaching when I was broke, it would have been a whole different life for me. And so we need to talk to people about paying us for what we do. It's okay to do that, even if we feel like they don't have money or it feels awkward. So we want to be having these conversations with people. If you do not answer their questions, right, and they say, I'm going to go home and I need to think about it, but we haven't answered any questions. We didn't sort of make sure that they have all the information they need or determined when we're going to follow up with them. Like, what does it look like to make a decision for you? You need 2 days to go talk to your husband. Is it the end of the week? Like, what will you be considering? We want to know those things so that we all are on the same page, right? It is just very clear to all of us, like, what the next step is. And if we don't do this, the client is going to leave and they are going to remain in a place of indecision, right? So I want you to think for a little bit about what it means to remain in a place of indecision, because I think this is really important, really, really important. I want you to think about if you've ever had something that you are trying, like, that you feel like you should do. Let's just say that. You're like, I really need to get around to whatever it is, right? Joining the gym. I need to get back to training. And you're like, sort of like trying to decide, like, which gym should I join? Which thing is going to be best for me? What month should I start? Should I hire a trainer? Shouldn't I? Should I use an app or should I just figure it out on my own? And you're like in this place of indecision, right? This is just one example. There's probably thousands of them that we have on a regular basis, but you sort of keep like waffling back and forth about it and not doing anything because you're not decided, right? You're in indecision. You are second guessing yourself. You continue researching things. You keep thinking about how you need to get around to it and how you haven't done it yet and how you said that you were going to do this and now it's been weeks or months and you're still saying you need to get around to it and you're starting to feel even more guilt that you haven't actually made a decision or done something about it yet. There's this nagging in the back of your mind, this reminder that you're not showing up for yourself the way that you said that you wanted to, or you're not doing the thing for yourself that you said was important for you to do, and like other things in life are more important and they keep getting in the way and you keep coming up with excuses. And then our brain is just like, and you're still not doing it and you're still not changing, and you're still making excuses and you're still too busy. It feels horrible. It feels horrible, right? We've all been there. We have all had these experiences where we are in a place of indecision and we are wasting so much time and energy. And the longer that we avoid the thing that we know we need to face, the more that the shame and guilt builds around it. Now think about this, right? This is why this is so important. We do not want to leave our clients in a place of indecision when they leave coaching with us, trying to decide if they want more coaching with us, right? If the client leaves the coaching session and you have not done your job of clearly communicating how you can help them, you have not answered their questions so that they can make a definitive yes or no, or they at least know what they're considering and when they're getting back to you about their decision, you have left them in this place of indecision. And you guys, it honestly breaks my heart. It honestly does. It breaks my heart to think about a client who is obviously wanting help with their money. They would not have been there with you in the first place if this was not an area of their life that they knew they wanted to improve, that they knew they weren't making the progress that they wanted on their own. They know that they need some support in reaching the goals that they want. They might be feeling really stressed about their money and they want help with it. And it breaks my heart to think that, like, if I left them in this place of indecision, then I'm sending them home and they're going to start feeling even more shame around their money because they can't make a decision about whether or not coaching is right for them, right? I hate the thought of a client going home and then feeling this weight of guilt that's like building because they're avoiding getting back to me, right? Because they don't have an answer. They haven't decided yet. They don't know if it's right. They maybe want to wait till next month now. They're not sure. And like the more time that goes by, the more their brain is like, let's just research some more. Let's just see if we can do it on our own some more. Maybe we don't need this. Maybe we do. Let's just wait and see what happens a few months from now. And always in the back of their mind, they're thinking like, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? It's been so long. I haven't gotten back to them. Maybe I don't need to call anymore. Maybe I should. What are they going to think? Right? There's so much mental anguish that this client is going through because we left them in a place where they could not say yes or no, right? And so this is really the stuff that coaches need a coach for, you guys, is to get coached through your own limiting beliefs because they are coming up for you and it's causing things like this to happen. And indecision is leaving the decision up to circumstance, right? Indecision is leaving the decision up to circumstance, and it feels awful. It feels awful. Think about if you decide to do something, you feel certain now, right? You are like, I'm doing it. This is the decision I've made. This is the direction I'm going. I feel certain in it. I'm doing it. It creates certainty. If you decide not to do something, it also creates certainty, right? You're like, I have decided this isn't right for me right now. I can move along and think about the next thing, right? Either way, yes or no, when you make a decision, you can release that and move on with your life, right? You don't need to think about it. Either you know you're taking action on it or you're releasing the pressure of taking action on it and focusing on something else. And either of those things is a wonderful place to be, the place of having made a decision. But being in the place of indecision is the worst place to be, and we do not want to leave our clients in that place. Right? So one of the best skills that you can embrace as a coach is this skill of helping your clients be able to make a decision, right? And that skill is called sales, right? Yucky, huh? It's not yucky. It's wonderful. We want to help our clients with this, simply helping them say yes or no. It is fine. They just need to make a decision, and the decision that is best for them. That is what our job is, right? So you can do this with integrity, with empathy, with kindness, out of a true desire to help your client, right? So I hope that this perspective will really help you when you're going into sales conversations with your potential clients. So as always, we like to end every episode with a reflection question because coaching is all about figuring out what you think about something and how it's impacting how you feel and how you're taking action. And in order to really embrace this coaching philosophy, we love to end every episode with a question for you to reflect and ponder on. And this is really to deepen your awareness about it and to get you to gain some new clarity around the topic that we've discussed on the episode. It also helps us keep the conversation going. So I would love to hear from you. You can always drop a comment. If you're watching here on YouTube, drop the comment below to today's question. Or if you want to carry on the conversation, we are over on Facebook at Financial Coaches Unite. You can come join the group if you are not there already. So your question for today for you to reflect on: how do I feel about having sales conversations with my clients? And are the thoughts I'm having about sales serving me and my clients or harming us, leaving the client in indecision? So I really want you to think about that. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. In our next episode, I'm going to be talking about the benefits of being coached and some of the things that I look at with the coaches that are in the Elite VIP coaching program. This is my 1-year-long one-on-one coaching with other financial coaches. I want to share with you the things that I'm looking at with them so that you can begin to evaluate these areas of your business as well and know what to sort of keep tabs on. So I'm really excited to share this with you. So I will see you in the next episode. You guys, I believe that financial coaching is the best and most rewarding way to make a living. I truly love what I do. And if you're ready to learn and see how to become a profitable and successful financial coach, you can head over to financialcoachacademy.com to learn more about our online courses, our free events, our live events. We've got so much happening. Make sure that you pop over and check it out. And as always, we really do love hearing from you. If you have any questions for the Financial Coach Academy podcast, you can submit them at financialcoachacademy.com/podcast. And as always, if you love this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review. We really, really do appreciate and read every single one of them. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next week.